will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim, never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim, never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim, never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim, never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim, never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wayland Woods, where we landed. We're 2 rows, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Gracie Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now. Waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. Wheeling Woods, where we landed. Till Rose, the next to be commended. We're taking down all of those like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katy High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katy High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katy High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show 'em this new power of mine. When woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katy High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When woods where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katy High like we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Unplugged, Unfiltered. I am Brian Clements, of course, alongside Bob Clements. We are excited, and Bob, you are disappeared on the screen. So.
Sorry about that. Let me get back in here. How about that?
I had asked him to grab something right before we started. So, anyways, we're testing a new background right now. So be patient with us as we try to make sure that we can provide the best possible setup that we can possibly provide. So anyways, I am super excited for tonight. One of the things I will say, so we had a guest kind of planned, but unfortunately they had something else come up that I told them.
The Atlanta Braves took her away from us.
Yeah. You have to definitely,
and that was a good move for her.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to take that opportunity,
Exactly.
And not take our opportunity. So, but we're going to have that guest on later on. Already started working with her on a date. So, let's try to move you around a little bit more and see if maybe we can. There we go.
Is that better?
I think that's better. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys all joining in. Everybody from TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube. You can now actually go to our website, www.unpluggedunfiltered.com, and you can tune in there as well. Plus, you can see all of our posts or our previous podcasts that we've ever done.
Yeah, so. I'm 70 years old, and I know nobody ever types www in anyway.
Yes.
So
if you search Unplugged Unfiltered,
there you go.
You should be able to find our podcast. Yeah. So anyways, super excited. Again, we made a shift. We pivoted a little bit for tonight's podcast, but we're going to be talking about what if we're teaching the wrong American dream, right? And I started doing a lot of digging on this and figuring out statistics on what the current, not the current generation, not Gen Alpha, which I still don't quite understand Gen Alpha, but Gen Z, kind of what their American dream looks like to them. And so tonight, that's really what we're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, one of the things that I really want to do is, so you guys have been incredible on the support. We've had some incredible podcasts, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys some really cool things that have come in since our last podcast. So first off, we got, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this because of our background. You guys can see it definitely on TikTok. And this might be where the background, it causes an issue. So, but I got a proof copy of Shoveling Shit. And you might be able to see it. It even comes with a little shovel.
It does. It's awesome.
Which is awesome. And so I have to thank Mike and Cass so much for that, so much for being on our podcast last week and all the support they've given us. But I have to thank everyone on here. I mean, we've got quite a few people already on our TikTok coming through. So I have to thank you guys all for pushing that hashtag future entrepreneur. It's pretty incredible. And I don't want to take all of the credit, but I'm going to take all of the credit. When I said hashtag future entrepreneur and put out the first video on that, there was less than 500 future entrepreneur posts or hashtags on TikTok. I put a post up today with the hashtag future entrepreneur, and there was over 2,700 posts with future entrepreneur. I'm going to take credit for all
That's
of
great.
So,
I would. Doesn't matter whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Take credit for it.
But we're going to take credit for it. And that's going to really lean into what we're going to talk about as far as the, are we teaching the wrong Americans?
And I think, again, just to go back with Mike and Cass, is that was really our challenge. Number one is if you're an entrepreneur, it's a great book.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's one of those, you got to be, and I know you hate to read.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think Cass sent you like 8 books.
Yes.
To read.
Yeah, she did. It's great. And I love that. And she let me know that she is not an avid reader and Michael is really not an avid reader. So we're kind of all in the same place. And it's one of those, like, we're going to send you the books. If you decide to read them, you decide to read them.
I will read them.
Yeah.
Because I am an avid reader.
Yes.
So I love to read. But again, it's the whole kind of theme of that was that, they're all about, how do we continue to kind of make this entrepreneurship into the young people. We're going to be talking about that a little bit tonight. But also, if you're an entrepreneur, it's a great book. It's one of those, if you're a new entrepreneur, a younger entrepreneur, it's a book that you want to get. And our challenge was, buy one and give one.
Yes,
and give one to a future entrepreneur. It could be the young kid out there mowing the yard. It could be the young landscaper out there that's got an old beat up truck and a trailer that's just trying to get started, like you were many years ago.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But that's kind of the challenge. And then also going to the library and asking, because this costs you nothing, and asking the library to, hey, please stock this book.
Absolutely.
For it. So again, that was kind of our goal there with that book. And it's a great book. And we really appreciated having Cass and Mike on last week.
Oh, and I'm super excited to dig in. I really am. And I will tell you, again, what you get with the book is not just a book. You get so many other incredible tools that they give you. One of the biggest tools is the Founders Farm. So the Founders Farm is a group of entrepreneurs that come together. Mike and Cass lead the whole group, and we just have conversations about what is it like to be an entrepreneur? What are some of the struggles? And everybody gets an opportunity to talk about, hey, here's a struggle that I'm having. And as a group, we collectively come together and say, how can we support this person? It is one of the most incredible things. If you get the book and come on to the Founders Farm meeting, which again is available to everyone who buys the book, you'll see me there. I'm on every single Founders Farm meeting that they put out. So much more than just a book. I will tell you that. Plus, you get all of their cheat codes, and you get a link to their I forget what they call it, but it's like a toolbox of all of their entrepreneurial tools that you need.
If you're an entrepreneur, this is a couple you want to connect with.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they will save you so much time and so much headache and heartache.
Absolutely. I mean, they've done that times 10 for me.
Exactly.
In just the last, I will say I've only known Mike and Cass for probably 3 or 4 weeks now. And I will honestly say that I do see them as friends, and not only friends, but just some incredible support that, I never expected to receive from someone. And they come on, and I will say that Mike and Cass will come on to the podcast and not really give themselves credit for what they've created. They've created some incredible things. They were part of, they started Buddy Media. They sold it for $745 million. That's not a small dollar
It's
number. Plus, they were a part of another company called Scopely that ended up selling for $5 billion. Those are some pretty big achievements. So some of the most humble, incredible people, and all they really want to do is help entrepreneurs succeed. So
That's cool.
Again, huge thanks to them. Huge thanks to them for sending me this book, the early release of it. If you have ordered it, you guys are going to be in for a treat when you get it. I also want to say thanks again to Anthony Masucci. He was on 2 weeks ago, and I talked to Anthony, and they are having some really, really good traction with the book. And I will tell you, I bought 12 books. And so each of my kids have 3 books that they're going to be giving this week. This is their last week of school. They're writing a personalized thank you note. And then they're going to be giving that book to 3 of their teachers that have made such a big impact. I'll hold it up. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but everyone on TikTok, you guys can see it. Everyone on TikTok, make sure that you go get Grade School and get it for your kiddos to give to their teachers, or give it to a teacher that made a massive difference in your life. So Anthony, again, was awesome to have on. He was such a pleasure, and his book is incredible. Like I said, I went out and bought 12 more personally, just so that my kids could share that thank you note to their teachers. So same thing with Anthony. We've got the challenge going. Get it to the teachers, and then also get with your libraries and say, hey, this book has to be in the library. Can you guys put it in there? So super, super excited about all of that. And as we kind of move through this, one of our things that we're going to continue to do is challenges. So if you're on here, if you're watching this, if you're watching the recording of this, and you have a business, if you have something where you're helping entrepreneurs, you are pushing, a book, something like that, we would love to talk to you. We'd love to have you on, and we'd love to create a challenge. And let's take our following that we have, and it might not be the biggest following in the world, but
Joe Rogan is not concerned right now.
No, Joe Rogan is not concerned with our podcast. But I will tell you that our group of individuals that we have that watch this podcast, which I don't know why they watch this podcast, but they do, and we appreciate every single one of them. But all of the individuals have gone above and beyond and have helped us really crush the goal. And I will say next week we have an incredible guest named Seth who's going to be coming on. But we're going to give you some realistic updates on where we're at with all of our challenges, so that you guys can come along. And then as we fall short, or as we're kind of losing some momentum, I'm really going to ask you all to step up and say, hey, let's push this. Let's hit this challenge. Let's get this book into teachers' hands. Let's get this book into future entrepreneurs' hands. And let's just kind of keep pushing it.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
But again, we'll get off of our thank you box, but we've had just incredible guests since we started. It's insane what we've been able to kind of start with. But with that, I want to get into today's podcast and talking about the American dream, right? The American dream. A lot of people, it's always kind of been that: work a good 9 to 5, have a good salary, buy a house, have a white picket fence, and keeping up with the Joneses. But is that still truly the American dream of generation or Gen Zs? Well, statistics are finding out that's not even close. 50% of Gen Zs now have a desire to start their own business. And one of the reasons why this topic excites me so much is because, well, it feeds into not only Mike and Cass as a guest, but it also feeds into Anthony, right? You've got your teachers who are pushing these, students at that time, now adults or moving into adulthood. They're pushing them to think outside of the box. They're pushing them to say, okay, what is the standard? Does the standard work for you? And it's allowing these Gen Z people to go, you know what? I want to start a business. I want to be my boss. I want to control what I'm doing, which then goes, okay, from grade school to, shoveling shit. It's like, where do I start? Where do I get into this? And it's just crazy to me that 50% of US students have a desire to start their own business. I think when I was a kid, I can't say that 50% of the kids in my class had any desire to start a business, or I mean, even going through high school, they all wanted, I'm going to get a job with my dad's insurance company, or I'm going to get a job in healthcare, which is great. And I think that that's a path for a lot of people. But I think we're starting to see more and more kids and young adults go, you know what, I want to create my own entrepreneurial dream. And I'm excited about it. I love seeing entrepreneurs win.
Yeah, I do too. And you think about, of course, obviously I'm a boomer,
Yeah.
and you being my son, you're a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
As we go through and do it, and so you kind of you grew up in a household that we were entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of boomers were not. They were they were kind of, let's work a job, let's do that, let's do it for 20 years and do all these things like that.
Yeah.
When you look at the Gen Z, they came out of the Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Gen X's are they don't get a lot of props on the back. They're the ones that created technology.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the Gen X's are the ones that that came out and are contrary to popular belief, Al Gore did not create the internet. Gen X's created the internet and the technology and things like this.
Yeah.
And they were Gen X's were a very out of the box thinking kind of group of people, and thus their kids that are now the Gen Z are kind of in that same kind of mindset.
Absolutely.
They're not afraid to take the risk. They're not afraid to do things. Gen X was a smaller population group by a lot by the boomers, but again, they were very much out of the box thinkers. And again, I would say that the bulk of what we have for technology, not the advancements in it, but the understanding of how to really use technology and do it, really came from Generation X.
Yeah.
And that's where you're really seeing that from the Z's. And Generation X were a little bit of again, out of the box thinkers. And I would say probably, and I hate to say this being a boomer, but probably a little bit more creative thinking than most boomers. And I think you're seeing that show up in Generation X, and it's exciting. I mean, we work with the businesses, we work with dealerships, and the concern that a lot of businesses had was, well, you got these new kids and they're not really hard workers. And I say, well, this Generation Z is not like, there's 3 different levels of millennials. You're an older millennial. And then the younger millennials are not hard workers. Gen Zs are.
Yeah.
They are really rock and roll. Let's do it. I mean, they got different things they're trying to do, but Generation Z is an exciting generation. I really see kind of like the Generation X did. They're gonna drive us really forward as we go through things.
Well, no, I mean, seeing that now, I mean, how many people are working currently in development and that side of things, and it's not a lot of millennials. They're younger kids. I mean, developing our product, right? I mean, I would say the majority of the people that are developing our new software is, they're in that Gen Z range. They're not millennials, or they're the very end of millennial and in that Gen Z. And again, they're the ones who are creating AI. They're the ones not necessarily creating it, but they're building the code for AI. And so it's a super exciting, and I'm super excited to watch, that generation say, okay, well, listen, here we come. We're going to take over. We're going to step in. We're going to push the limits of what's possible. And I think we're seeing that, because more than anything, and I'm looking at this note right here, and over 57% of Gen Zs would choose or have chosen to be part of social media, or have used social media to apply for a job, do a job interview, and get a job via social media.
Right.
I mean, they're taking something that was created for one purpose, right? To connect friends, family. And now they're pushing it and saying, okay, I can get a job on here. I can apply to a company. I think it's just really crazy. The transitions that are happening.
And again, they're when you think of social media, people think of, I guess you'd have to go back to Facebook and saying, okay, the old Facebook or MySpace.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the origination of stuff, and that was kind of the the group that got that created and got it started, but your Generation Z can kind of take this and go, well, I see a whole nother world out here with it. And again, and that's the way it's going to happen. I mean, the reality of it is, and it's kind of like Mike and Cass talked about, and I know Gary V and those guys, it's really about the relationships you build into things like this. And there's no faster way to build connections and relationship than there is with social media.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I mean, Gary V, he had just posted a video about this, is that social media is, because there is no necessarily limits to social media. He goes, actual life is going to completely change, right? And now that we have AI, now that we have all of this being built into it, Gary very strongly believes that we are all going to know someone at some point who is in a relationship with a humanoid. And honestly, I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of far-fetched, but at the same time, it's like, well, but it's not that far-fetched, and he was talking about how the cost of personal relationship, like paying people to go on a walk with you, that there's a huge market for that, right? And so again, we've now created this wide scope, but I think Gen Z, they have this wide scope, but they also want to bring it back together. Millennials, we really don't necessarily like human interaction. I mean, we've been through some shit, to say the least. I mean, we were born when we had Y2K, we had 9/11, we had the financial crash in 2009. We've had
welcome to the world.
We've had the Afghani war. We've had there's never not been.
Are you noticing a trend?
The
millennials have created a whole lot of havoc in the world.
We didn't create it. No, it was our generation, because I will tell you, when 9/11 happened, I was 7. We weren't creating.
You were simply observing.
Yes.
All the crap that the boomers had created.
That's what you 100%. But and so we kind of got into this. I would say millennials, and I'm personally, as one of those, I'm saying, okay, I enjoy my not being around people, right? Gen Z is, I think, are more of that. I want to be around people, but I also want to use technology to enhance what we're doing. And so, yes, Gary's seen this massive uptick in people who are paying other people to go on walks with them, but
it's a sad soul.
It is, but those are all millennials, because we're all like, God, we've seen some shit. Like, I don't want to. I just need someone to talk to.
That won't judge me.
That won't judge me. Yeah. So
if you're paying me, I don't judge you.
100%. So you're seeing that, but I think that the Gen Zs, are coming back into that. And so it's one of those, are we teaching now in school? Are we teaching the wrong American dream? Is the American dream to go to school, go to college, get a degree, go find a 9-to-5, buy a house? Is that the American dream? And statistics are showing that that's not the American dream anymore.
Well, I think everybody's seeing that it's not the American dream anymore. I mean, it was kind of, for me, probably also, I mean, I'd say Gen X participated in that quite a bit. Again, it was a smaller birth group than the boomers. The boomers were the largest birth group in the world in history until the millennials came along, and then they obviously outpaced that. But the Gen Xers were a smaller birth group, and again, very technically excited about what was going on. But I think, again, you're seeing it now with the Gen Z that, and I'm not knocking college, but the reality of it is, I think everybody's seeing kind of the scam a little bit behind the college.
Oh, 100%.
You can't get a doctorate in basket weaving and expect to pay your student loan off.
Oh,
okay. So things like that. So this is kind of where, I love Mike Rowe. I don't know if anybody on here listens to Mike Rowe or not, but I love Mike Rowe. But, Mike has really, for the last 10 or 15 years, really been pushing on, it's the skills and the things like that. And it's your brain. As I tell, people that I work with, I'm not hiring your hands. I'm hiring your brain.
Yeah.
I need you to think. I need you to use common sense. I need you to do these things. And that's not stuff you typically get in higher education.
Yeah.
You just really get by being in it. I was watching an interview, and whether you like Elon Musk or not, or you like what's going on with Doge or not, I was fascinated by these young guys that Elon Musk has got gathered.
Yeah.
And one of the guy in particular, he was in Harvard, and he was in this interview, and he was in Harvard, and the person that was interviewing him say, well, did you graduate? He says, no, I just left Harvard. Right. He says, I can always go back to Harvard.
Yeah.
He said, I wanted to be a part of something that was technically driven and stuff. He says, I'll never get a chance to have these kind of skills ever again in my life. And I just decided I want to take it.
Yeah.
Where the boomers would have probably gone, well, you probably ought to go ahead and finish Harvard.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
He was kind of going, his point was, I can always go back to Harvard.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a smart guy.
Yeah.
He's a smart young guy, probably, I don't know, 21 or 22 years old. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted to be a part of something. He says, I feel like this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
I feel like, and all around that table, there's probably 20 of these young guys, and they're all obviously tech guys, know what they're doing, stuff like this, but kind of the same theme all the way around there. These are guys and gals, or gals in there too, but they're fascinated with the technology and what you can do with it. And I think, I think the dream that we had before with the boomer dream, let's put it that way, I just think it's a kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I don't know that the Generation Z cares about all those
Yeah.
things. They may eventually, but it's not where they're at right now.
Well, and I honestly think that the millennials follow that boomer mentality because, again, like I said, another study, and I don't have the statistics on it, but the millennials, from the time that they were born, from the time that they were in kindergarten to the time they hit 20, experienced more major worldwide events than any other generation has ever experienced in that short period of time.
Right.
I mean, because again, you look at and the generation before your
The silent generation.
So they experienced World War II, and there was a lot of stuff that happened, but it was one massive event, right? that started it. We went Y2K, the world's going to end, and then we go, okay, well, a year later we have a terrorist attack,
right?
And then 5 years later, and then the war starts, right? So now we're in a war, and then we have the collapse of I don't want to say the economy, but
I mean, it was a big bubble burst.
A big bubble burst. And so we have never had really a whole lot of stability.
Right.
And so I think a lot of millennials still too go, you know what? I just pay me my check. I guarantee my salary. Let me go home and drink my troubles away.
Yeah.
But again,
that's a good point.
Now we've got these Gen Zs who are coming in and going, I kind of saw what my parents did. I see what the people right before me did, and I want to do something different.
Yeah.
And it's crazy again what they're able to accomplish. I mean, we've got people on TikTok that are creating a crazy life for themselves on TikTok. We've got Kels, which is an incredible friend of mine on TikTok. She has done so well on TikTok. But she also puts in that effort. It's a constant effort that you have to put in. And I think that
TikTok is a job.
Oh, TikTok is 100%.
So and again, and it's an incredible platform, and I know there's lots of controversy on it, but it's like TikTok is like the entrepreneurial dream.
Oh, 100%.
Right. If you have an idea or whatever like this, you can put it on TikTok, and very quickly you will either be liked,
yes,
or you will simply go away.
100%,
I mean, it's probably the most democratic method of testing an idea out. And again, and people's like, oh, well, TikTok's play. TikTok's not play. I mean, to get a following, stuff like this, you're working your butt off, right? And you're engaged in it. You're spending more than 8 hours a day doing the stuff like that. So, I mean, that's kind of, to me, the cool thing about technology.
Yeah.
I didn't have that when I was growing up. People laugh about, I started out in sales out. I got out of college and we had pay phones. That's how we communicated with people. You don't have many of those anymore today, but just the technology's changed. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about with the Gen Z. They're comfortable with it, comfortable stretching it. They're creative. I think the Gen Z is a very creative group. And they're kind of the, when there's an issue or a problem, they really can look and see ways to solve problems and stuff like that. I just think their brains are just wired in a way to do that.
Well, and again, now they have the tools to do that. Like you were
Exactly.
saying with social media, with TikTok, I can put something out on TikTok and I have the potential to reach 300 million people
Exactly.
in a click of a post button, right? And if that video gets 1 million likes, okay, now I can run with that idea, right? And keep pushing that kind of content or that product. Where, in the boomer generation or generation even X is, what would you have to do to reach 300 million
Well,
people?
it would be impossible. Well, you'd have to become a mass murderer
and
get on TV.
Yeah.
But then you reach the whole population. But again, the difference, though, for me, starting out in business 40 years ago, you had to physically have a location.
Yeah.
You had to have a brick and mortar something. There were not websites.
Yeah.
There were not all these things, and the probability of failure was just as high as it is on TikTok, except I had $100,000 invested in brick and mortar. And if it failed, I was probably devastated. Where on TikTok, I don't know, if something fails on TikTok, you go, well, that really sucked as an idea. Let's go try that.
That cost me $30.
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing about it, so because you're going to fail a lot as an entrepreneur. People think about, well, you guys don't fail. If you go back and you study any entrepreneur, you go all the way back to Henry Ford. Henry Ford went bankrupt, I don't know, 2 or 3 times and, and stuff like this. And they continued to move and change and innovate. But it was costly. It was always an expensive thing. Where today with technology, you can fail. And like you said, so it cost me $30.
Yeah.
Okay. That idea, I thought it was a brilliant idea and we should run with it.
Yeah.
And I did. And 300 million people thought my idea sucked.
Yeah.
My mom liked it, but I had to show her how to get on TikTok to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's, to me, is kind of the cool thing about being an entrepreneur today. You could have a brick and mortar store, but a brick and mortar store today is not as important as it was when I was starting out. You just had to have them. And I think that to me is kind of the cool part. If I were an entrepreneur, a young starting entrepreneur today, and I was Gen Z and I understood it, what it took me 40 years to build, I could have probably done it in a couple of years. Just because, part of it is I know what I'm doing now, so that helps. But I could also try a lot of different things and not worry about if they failed or not. When I was starting out, failure was a very costly thing. And I think that was a lot of reason that a lot of people didn't become entrepreneurs, because maybe they tried something and it failed, and then all of their family said, well, you're a loser, so go get an 8-to-5 job and just settle in. Where to me, I think Gen Z sees it, okay, so what? Nobody liked it. I've got another idea now, and I think that's the cool part about it.
Well, and you had to be a big risk taker.
Absolutely.
You had to be like, okay, I'm willing to invest everything I have into seeing this succeed. Now, I will say, to be an entrepreneur still now today, you do need to invest everything that you have into it if you want to be successful. I've invested everything I've got into my new company, but I also have the ability to test so much out. I don't have to invest everything I have on one idea. I'm able to throw 15 ideas out there, hit 300 million people, and they go, yes, this is great. No, this is great. And I can, within 2 or 3 days, create pivots that no one else. So yes, I'm investing all of my time. I'm investing all of my money. I'm investing all of this, but the security net that I have is I come up to a fork in the road and I go, okay, here's 10 ideas for both. Okay, this one 3 hit, this one 6 hit. I'm going to go down this fork. And I can do that constantly. And it costs me $30 to test that idea. And I get response in a day. So the social media aspect of it, the TikTok aspect, and more than anything, and then even going back to Mike and Cass or Anthony, is the social aspect outside of social media. Is I have the ability to connect with people who are in New York that I would have never met before because of email, because of because of social media. I have the ability to connect with them in a way that, if you were, when you were first starting your business, to connect to someone in New York, what would it take to find that person?
You'd have to, first of all, get an airplane.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Okay. And then get the New York phone book.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you didn't have email.
Yep.
I mean, that didn't exist,
Yeah.
when I started out. So, I mean, to do something like that, I mean, companies would have had to open up an office in New York. Again,
Yeah.
it's a brick and mortar thing. And today, you don't have to do anything. I mean, that to me is kind of the exciting thing. You talk about future entrepreneurs. I just think with the Generation Z, I think you're going to see an explosion
Yeah.
in entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're a little bit entrepreneurial by just simply how they were raised.
Yeah.
A little bit like that. They are not terrified of technology at all. As a matter of fact, they embrace it.
Yeah.
Obviously, they haven't watched Terminator
Yeah.
or any
Yeah.
movies that's
Yeah.
associated with
We
that.
know
They
how
watched,
this ends.
they watched Wall-E
Yeah.
on the Disney,
Yeah.
the little Disney robot, but they
Oh, yeah.
didn't see the Terminator.
Yes.
But anyway, but again, to your point, Brian, what the perk they have is they can try lots of different things
Yeah.
very inexpensively, and you get almost immediate feedback if what you're doing is doing it. And if you get it, and then you can just start saying, okay, I'm going to go down this road. And maybe you only go down that road for a couple of years and then something different comes up,
Yeah.
but that's okay because you don't have $500,000 in a brick and mortar store.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got a following that already likes what you do.
Yeah.
Right. So, and they're all over the world. This
Yeah.
is not me going from Kansas City to New York. They're all over the world. So I think we as a country, and I say that as a continent, both because we have a lot of dealerships that we work with up in Canada too, but but again, very entrepreneurial group of people. But I just think at least in North America, I think you're going to see an explosion
Yeah.
of entrepreneurial companies out there, and some will be smaller ones where they'll make good money.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have some that are like the Mikes and Casses and
Yeah.
the Gary Vee and
Oh.
people like that they turn them into billion-dollar enterprises.
Well,
And you don't know which one it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, you can make a good bet on anyone who's going and working into the AI realm.
Right.
I mean, AI for a lot of people is scary. It's going into it and they're going, oh, AI is this, it's scary. And it is scary to an extent. I mean, the fact that they have to create AI bots to create security coding to prevent other AI bots who have been created to break security coding. Right. I mean, it's like, okay, it is scary, but it's all done. And it's not the AI that's doing it, it's the people who are coding.
Yes,
AI.
we call them white hats and black hats.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we have that, but I think that anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, they have the best tool ever created for them in AI to do it. I will tell you, as I'm working on documents, as I'm building out podcasts, as I'm building social media posts, not one goes by without me using AI to some extent on it. And it might be me just going into ChatGPT and saying, hey, chat, I need this cleaned up. I'll write what I want to say. I'll write my comment, but then it cleans it up, makes it more concise, makes it nicer. With me being dyslexic and English language is still a foreign language to me most of the time. It just helps me create such a better product, but it also can give me the opportunity and say, hey, I need to, perfect example. I went on there and said, how do I get a hold of Ryan Reynolds for my podcast? Mm-hmm. Right. And it goes, oh, Ryan Reynolds is the most active on Instagram. So what do? I go on to Instagram and I send Ryan, and I can do that with all of these celebrities. It's taking all of the data that I would have to do 3 or 4 hours of research on, and it's giving it to me in 30 seconds. So if you're trying to be an entrepreneur as a Gen Z, or even not as a Gen Z, whether you're a millennial, even Gen X boomers, if you're still trying to be an entrepreneur, learning AI
absolutely.
is a game changer.
I'm with you. I use it all the time. We just had our attorney put together some documents for us. And when I read them, I went, wow, this has got a lot of legalese in it. This person that I'm working with is going to struggle with this a little bit. So I took all the documents, I fed them into AI. Mm-hmm. And I said, number one, I want you to make recommendations on how we can improve these. Okay. Yeah. So I just had an attorney that I paid to do all these. Yeah. I want you to make recommendations how I can improve them. And I want you to simplify them. And I want you to do a summary on each document. So the person reading it wouldn't have to read the whole document. They would see a summary on there. And in 30 seconds, it made recommendations that the attorney should have probably made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But what it did was, and it fed it in there. And then I mean, it was still a great document, and I'm guessing the attorney has AI, but they're using like Westlaw or something like that. So everything is so legal, but I used it for that way, put it all together, send it to the person. They go like, oh, well, this is great. And I really appreciated the summary. Well, AI summarized it for me.
100%. Yeah.
You know, but you know, I needed to start off with a real person doing it. Maybe. I'm not so sure now that I couldn't have AI just do it for me.
Yeah.
But the point being is that, if you're not harnessing AI today, you know, for marketing, for social media stuff, it's crazy. And you know, to me, the most exciting part again is, as an entrepreneur today, it doesn't, you know, you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. You know, everybody in business starts out with an idea.
100%.
Might be an invention, but it still started out as an idea. And you can run those ideas through AI and say, hey, you know, I have an idea for this. You know, what sort of market would it be, and what would I do to market it, and things like that. So I'm with you. I mean, I think if you're not using AI today, man, you are missing out.
Absolutely. And that kind of takes us into, you know, I think one of the biggest things, especially with my generation, is the burnout that happens, right? I'm sitting here spending 18 hours a day building marketing material, trying to come up with team strategies, trying to come up with this. Well, with the use of AI, I'm now taking an 18-hour day and I can do it in 6 hours because I basically have, especially with ChatGPT is a perfect example, and Gemini is another example. It learns you. It learns how you think. And so if you go, hey, I need this, it goes, okay, perfect. And it's thinking as I would think to some extent. And so I think that is going to help create some relaxation, give the Gen Zs the ability to put out a lot of product, put out a lot of ideas, put out a lot of dreams, without having to get that burnout. I know that the millennials are a mental health nightmare for all therapists. I mean, we have given therapists a job, but I will say that's even coming into play, because now they have AI bots that are therapists that you can talk to, which is just.
Did they go, you're right, you should feel guilty?
Yeah, you're an idiot.
You really should feel guilty.
You should feel sad. You should feel all your feelings, and you should shut the hell up and just keep fucking going. But anyways, with all of that being said, is I think that, again, if you use the tools, if you don't let the negative side of social media get to you, all of the people who are going to be your naysayers, and we talked about this with Mike and Cass. Mike and Cass's naysayers play on a little bit different level than what our naysayers do. But if you can keep those naysayers out of your ear and you continue to build and throw out those ideas, because every post, I mean, I will say every video that I put out, there's always at least one negative person, and and they have nothing better to do. And that's
we call them losers.
Yeah, we call them losers. Yes, but they have nothing better to do, and so I don't let that affect them. So I think that Gen Z, if they can tune that out, right, they can tune those new naysayers out, or like Cass said, turn that into my drive. It's now a competition.
Right.
Oh, you say I can't do this. Hold my beer. Watch this.
Right.
Cass didn't actually say hold my beer. Watch this. But you know, I'm gonna get it. I'm going to do this. I just think that the opportunity is limitless.
Well, and again, a little bit of it is you have to understand, to your point, I don't care how good you are, there's always going to be probably 15 to 20% of the population, 20%, you know, that are not going to like what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I learned that when I was first speaking. You know, I could do, you know, I used to do day-long programs, 6-hour programs, all day long by myself in front of hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the program was great and everybody loved the program, and they did the comment cards and I always rate high. But there was always 2 or 3 cards in it that says, well, you had a word misspelled on slide 8 at 9 o'clock this morning. And I sat there and go like, dear God, if that's all you got out of 6 hours. But that was their purpose in life. Their purpose in life, because they had so little confidence in themselves. So I just tell people again, you know, if you got 80% of the people that like what you're doing, it probably is never going to get better than that.
Yeah.
And it's not that the 20% are wrong. It's just not 20% of the people you want to do with. Let them go find something else.
Absolutely.
But you've got to learn to let that go also. You know, you're going to have people that don't like what you do, and that's okay. I mean, you know, you're never going to have 100% there, and you can't let that stop you. But the perk again of of the technology is that's fine. Then just say, guys, if you don't like it, you can always not be on my TikTok.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's great. There's lots of other options on TikTok.
Absolutely. It's like I just laugh at people like, well, I can't believe that show's on TV. Dear God, you have a changer on your TV. Just go.
And there's only, I don't know, 300 plus channels available.
Exactly.
Go find a different channel.
Don't stop it because I enjoy it. Right. I like South Park. Not everybody does, but I think South Park is pretty funny. So again, but that's a piece of it there. And again, it's just, again, the other thing that I'm seeing right now with people that are using, let's use chat as a AI example. People be like, well, yeah, I used that a little bit. And it's almost like they're embarrassed. It's almost like, yeah, you caught me using drugs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So go, did you use chat? And I have people say that, did you use chat? I go, yeah, all the time. Right. I pay for it. Okay. I have a subscription to it. And if they doubled the price of it, I would just pay the extra.
100%.
I hope Microsoft doesn't hear that.
Yeah.
OpenAI doesn't hear that. But I said, but if they doubled it, because it's such a valuable tool to me. And they go like, well, I kind of hate to use it because of this. And I said, it's like going from a fax machine to an email.
Yeah.
Right. You use email now. We used to use fax machines. And before that, we actually put a letter in an envelope and put a stamp on it. And 8 days later, it got there. I said, you didn't feel bad about using emails. And I said, that's really all AI is. It's just another tool that you can use. I use it a lot. I have every article, every book I've ever written in a AI piece. And it's got all of my stuff in there. And if I have a publication that says, hey, you wrote an article 5 years ago on this, is there any way you could write something and update it? And I go, sure. And so I go to chat and say, it's got everything I've ever written.
Absolutely.
And I say, I need to take this information and I need to rewrite it and update it. And in 30 seconds, it has all my own words, but it's pulled everything together, reconfigured it. I'll tweak it out a little bit. But where it might take me 4 hours to write a brand new article on something. I got all the content there. Right. And so I just have chat go into everything I've written. Right. And all my articles and everything, and it pulls it back together and puts it out there for me. So I'm not embarrassed to use it.
And it's, again, I think, like you said, that it takes that group. It was like, okay, well, email's going to ruin personal connection because we're not handwriting letters anymore. Right. And I will tell you, there is still a incredible personal connection that you get when you get a handwritten letter. I would agree. Right. There's something different to that. My grandma was very, very good at that. She wrote handwritten letters. I mean, basically until the day that she passed away, she was still writing handwritten letters. And there's something very special to that, right? But you can put that same type of feel into an email. It's how much of you put into it. AI is the exact same example. And that's what I've told everybody. And they go, oh, well, doesn't that take the person out of it? No, it doesn't take the person out of it. It does if you just go on to chat and just say, chat, I need this. I need this. Never make any tweaks to it. Never explain to it what your personality, what your voice is. It becomes very impersonal at that point, but you can build it the exact same way that you would build an email that has your own signature on it, that has, your personality built into it. So
that's a part of my prompts. When I have it do something like that for me, I have already the prompts instructions built in that I like straightforward advice with a sarcastic attitude. Right. And so again, like you say, you have to do it. But I would go back again to the point, that handwritten is still good. And I would tell anybody, if you're an entrepreneur, or you're a starting entrepreneur, you don't have to do a handwritten letter, but dear Lord, go out and buy some thank you notes. If somebody does something for you, send them a handwritten thank you. Thanks so much for helping me with this, whatever. Send them a note like that. It doesn't have to be a letter, but a thank you note. And so you can combine them together.
Absolutely.
Well, again, I just think it's there. And I feel like Gen Z is the most positioned of any generation to just explode this. And I think you're going to see tons of entrepreneurs come out. Like I say, there's somebody out there right now that is a budding entrepreneur that doesn't even know it yet. That's going to have the next $1 billion company. And we don't even know who it is yet, but AI will help them get there and become a part of that.
Well, and it's going to happen in a speed that is unheard of.
Absolutely.
I mean, the creation of $1 billion companies is it's happening in months,
right,
instead of years. but that's all due to technology, and it's due to the drive. I mean, it's due to the hustle mentality that that entrepreneurs do truly have. Again, not everyone I don't think is built with that. For me, I know for me, not everyone in my life would want to put in the hours that I put in. It is what it is, but I'm built differently, and that's great. We need that. But we also need people who aren't built that way.
Yeah, I always tell my owners of the company, say, how come more of my people don't think like me? And I says, well, if they thought like you, they would be competing against you.
Yes.
Right. You and my employees. So we can't have everybody think that way. And there's nothing wrong with people who don't want to be an entrepreneur. But I would challenge everybody, if you think that you have some entrepreneur in you, if you feel like that's it, there's never been a better time in human history to try it. Right. And like you say, it does take a lot of time. Right. And that's always going to be, whether you use social media or whatever. I mean, I'd spend 12 hours a day working on stuff. You're going to spend 12 hours a day working on stuff too. You're going to do it in a little different way, but also I'm trying to connect with 100 people and you're trying to connect with 20 million.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I mean, so the scale and how quickly you can ramp up is so different than what mine was. But, and then some people talk about, well, do you burn out? And I go, you don't burn out on stuff that you really are passionate about. That's just the reality of it. People say, well, when do you burn out? I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm 70 years old. I'm not ready to quit what I do now because I just love what I do.
Absolutely.
Do I want to do a little less of it? Yes, but I've got myself set up, since it's my company, to do less, but I can still get to do what I want to do. But burnout, I'm not burnout.
Well, I will say, I mean, especially for me, kind of that burnout side of things is I can tell when I'm starting to, and I wouldn't say burn out. It's just I'm overdoing it. I remember, I think it was 2 nights ago, I was up until 1 o'clock sitting there on the computer going, okay, I've got to get this done. I've got to get this done. I've got to get, and that's great. But the next day I told myself, it's like, I cannot stay up until 1 o'clock or I am going to get burned.
You will.
Right?
And your family's going to leave.
Oh, 100%. Yes. They're going to be like, that's great, but we don't actually know who you are.
We don't want to play.
So, but again, I'm excited for this next generation. And what I will say, kind of as we're wrapping this up, I was talking to another connection of mine earlier today, and him and I were having this conversation about doing another podcast where we can have some guests on from TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube. And he said he'll help me get it set up so we can bring some guests on. And we want to have a conversation with you. If you have a business idea, or if you are in business and you're struggling with something, we would love for you to come on to the podcast and give everybody, 5 minutes and just say, okay, what is your idea? How can we help you? And then as a community, how can then we come behind them and support them? It's taking that hashtag future entrepreneur and putting true faces to it every single day. So I think that's something that we are going to really, really try to work on. Again, it's not going to be next week. Next week, we have Seth. Seth is an incredible entrepreneur, has created some incredible businesses, owned hotels, bunch of different things, and is a massive V-Friends card collector, which is awesome because I've got some really cool ones that I'm excited to show him. But with all that being said, it's not going to be next week, but definitely stay tuned. Check us out on Instagram, on Twitch, on TikTok, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Follow us because we would love to have some future entrepreneurs on our podcast where we can have that kind of one-on-one conversation. And if we can get enough future entrepreneurs on here, I don't think it would be hard for us to get Mike and Cass back on. And then you'd be talking to, I'm not going to say I am by far the best entrepreneurial coach, but you'd be talking to some pretty damn good entrepreneurial coaches.
Absolutely.
So anyways, with that, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have an idea for a podcast, or if there's something that you would like us to talk about, shoot us a message at on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube. or on our website at unpluggedunfiltered.com. https www.unpluggedunfiltered.com. Go on there, send us a message on there too. If you have an idea of a podcast that you would like us to talk about, a question that you might have, send that to us and we'll definitely get it built into the schedule. But with that, it is time for us to unplug. You guys have been amazing. We've had some incredible people come through tonight. A lot of people on TikTok. We've had a lot of people on YouTube, Twitch. We've had quite a few people in our Instagram Live. We've had quite a few people. So thank you guys so much. With that, I'm unplugging. I'm Brian. This is Bob. And we will catch you next week.
Never disappoint, so we have coincidentally stumbled on a legendary. Wait until they see us now, waiting for the opportune time to show them this new power of mine. Wailing Woods is where we landed. We're 2 rows of Knicks to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Wailing Woods is where we landed. We're 2 rows of Knicks to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus.